Hey gamers, welcome to my game room. AJ from Rolling With Roc here. It's Friday, October 23rd, and we are continuing the countdown to number 1 of my top 67 board games of all time with numbers 20 through 16. I hope you all have been enjoying the ROCtober content. Remember, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays is the top 67 board games of all time. Next Friday, 1 week from today, will be my top games of all time, 5 through 1. So stay tuned for that. Tuesday will be a new Roc review. Thursday will be a unboxing with Roc Reacts. Saturdays are games with Remy, so stay tuned for tomorrow for that. And next Saturday night, we will have board game trick or treat. And we might even have a special Halloween night costume Among Us party over on my twitch.tv/rollingwithroc. I'm still trying to just get those details set, but stay tuned for that. I'll probably be announcing it more on these videos as well as my social medias if we do indeed get those together. Just a quick reminder before we get into the list that these are my opinions on board games that I have played. I cannot rate a game that I haven't played, and some games just aren't for me. So if you're not seeing a game on this list, please don't hold it too hardly against me, but you can let me know in the comments if you're expecting or not expecting to see something. If there's a game that you think that I should check out, please let me know about it. Remember, every comment on a video named ROCtober earns you 1 entry into Board Game Trick or Treat at the end of the month. And with all of that out of the way, let's jump right back into the top 67 board games of all time with number 20. The last part of the list at number 25, we started off with a John DeClair game from AEG. Here at number 20, the first part of this list, we are starting off with a John DeClair game from AEG. And this time, it's Space Base. Space Base, or as some people like to say, Spas, is a card drafting dice rolling game for 2 to 5 players. And this is a game that draws from games like Machikoro, as well as somebody pointed out to me, and I never would have made this correlation, but I kind of agree, even Catan, where you're rolling dice, and then you are getting resources from those die rolls. It's a different kind of setup. It's a lot more like Machikoro than Catan, but I can see the inspiration behind it. And so this is actually a game that I've recently done a Roc review on, and I will go ahead and put that link above my head right now. But if you would like to more very deep dive into how to play and more information about Space Base, you can check out that Roc review. But just real quick, this is a game that for a lot of people is what they call a Machikoro killer. This does a lot of things that Machikoro does, but better. I do like Machikoro. I really like Space Base. This is, on my list here at number 20. But I don't necessarily consider it a Machikoro killer. It's its own game, but I don't necessarily consider a lot of games killing other games like some people do. Part of that is that I've never really had to cull my collection. And I think you start considering games killers of other games when you have to start to cull. So that's a big difference from my standpoint from others. But overall, at number 20, Space Base is a great game. It plays very differently at different player counts. 2 players will play extremely differently than, say, 4. We, most of the time, play at 3, and I think that is a good balance for this game, though I know people can play on both sides. There are multiple expansions for this game, and I believe they are coming out with more in the future. But this is Space Base from AEG, and that came in at number 20. Number 19. So my game group is very fascinated and enjoys playing world building, city building, those type of board games. And one of a game that we really enjoyed was Civilization, the board game from Fantasy Flight Games. This is based off of Civilization 4, if my understanding is correct. So the video game Sid Meier's Civilization, this is what this is based off. And this was a fun game. We have almost all of the expansions for this game, if not all of them. But this is not my number 19. My number 19 is Civilization: A New Dawn from Fantasy Flight Games. And this is based off of Civilization 5. And there are a lot of differences between the first one and this one. And while we enjoyed this one, and there was things that were, in our opinion, broken with that game. When we would play 3 players in my game group, my wife would always win the original Civilization via economic victory. No matter what we did. Economic victory always won in that game. Now this game is, in our opinion, in my opinion, much more balanced. And it has mechanisms that I like so much more. There is, I want to show it to you. There is one mechanism in here that I have not seen in many other games. Let me go ahead and, I want to find it so I could show it to you. Where is the cards? Oh, they're in each, there you go. Here we go, okay. Is this one, this player? Here we go. I want to show you this system, because to me, it's like one of the coolest things. So each player is going to get a civilization. You know, you get a leader. And it tells you the lineup of your... You have this little bar, and that has a 1 through 5 on it with different terrains. Those correlate to how you move along the pieces. Now these pieces are all set up in a different pattern, and they kind of look like a predecessor to the pieces in Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. But you have these tech cards, and you start out with first level tech cards. And when you play them, your leader is going to tell you where they go on here. When you use a tech card, you pull it from the space that you used it in and move it over, and you put it at the front of there, so at the number 1. You earn better abilities when you use them from over here. So the higher the number, the better your movement or whatever power you're trying to do with the terrains and whatnot. The system of balancing the terrains and the powers of the cards on this action selection choice, I wish I knew a better way of describing this, but if this is a game that really changed for us how a Civilization style game works. And that action selection mechanism is a huge, huge part of it. I really enjoy the map building in this. I think that it's more balanced than the original Civilization board game. I don't know if I've played a Civ game that does it better than this. And there's a lot of Civ games out there, and we have a lot of Civ games because we enjoy this style of game, this genre. But it has, a lot of the things that made Civilization the video game and Civilization the board game great. They updated, they made everything better. They added, it's not just a reprinting either. It is a whole new game because they completely changed the styles and what you do to complete tasks. But it still feels like you're playing Sid Meier's Civilization. And so if you like, city building, world building, Civilization games, if you like Sid Meier's Civilization, the video game, I highly recommend that you check out Sid Meier's Civilization: A New Dawn from Fantasy Flight Games. And they are just coming out with an expansion. It's the first expansion for this game. This game had a bunch of expansions. When this Civilization: A New Dawn has been out now for a couple of years. Going into Gen Con this year, myself and my friend, had resigned ourselves that Fantasy Flight was not going to do an expansion for this game. We didn't know why. We don't know if it sold good or poorly. We don't have that information. But because it had been a few years, we had decided we made it up in our heads that there must not be an expansion coming out. Then at Gen Con they announced that an expansion was coming out. So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the expansion for this game because again, we really enjoyed playing this. It has a lot of cool things. I just dumped pieces everywhere because that bag was still open. But there is, you have these little influence tokens, and that's where you put them on. You put those on the map to show where you've been. You have these cool little wagons. Let me see if I can get the wagons and stuff out. Let me show you these. You have these wagons that you send out to go to places and do trading. You have these cool city pieces here where you make a new city just like you would in Civilization. It has a lot of really cool aspects to it. And like I said, if you like Civilization, if you like city building, please go ahead and check out my number 19, Civilization: A New Dawn. Number 18. Number 18 on my top 67 board games of all time is a game or a game system that I devoted a whole week of content to back in the summertime, and that is from Blue Orange Games, King Domino. And King Domino is another game that I did, like I said, I did a whole week of content. I did a ROC review on King Domino. I did a ROC review on Queen Domino. I did a ROC review on King Domino Age of Giants, and I did a playthrough of King Domino. And I'll go ahead and put a King Domino playlist link above my head so you can check out all of those videos as well if you happen to miss those. But as I say in those videos, the quick rundown is, of all the ways to play King Domino, I prefer, at 2 players, King Domino 7x7, or if it's more than 2 players, King Domino and Queen Domino 7x7. And I like some of the aspects of Age of Giants, but some of the things my game group doesn't really like with the take that with the Giants aspect. Everything else that comes in this box, as I say in my review, I do like. Queen Domino, I'll let you go see my thoughts on Queen Domino, but again, number 18 on this list is King Domino. And what you do in King Domino is you have a little castle on a single tile, and then you will be drafting these dominoes. Here's a couple of different ones. They're very shiny, so they're going to glare. Little behind the scenes, that was one of my biggest challenges in filming that whole series, was the glare from the tiles the whole time. You will be drafting these on the table with all the different players, and whoever goes takes the least valuable tile, or domino in this case, according to the numbers on the back, will go first in the next round. So you kind of have to balance, do I want the higher number tile and go later in the next round, or do I want a lower number tile and go earlier in the next round and try to get something better that more suits you? And so there are a couple different terrain types, and you will have blank spaces, and you will have spaces that have crowns on them. And the way you do scoring is you score in each different terrain type that are connected to each other. You score the amount of squares of that terrain that are adjacent times the number of crowns in that area. So if you have 10 spaces of this wheat field, but you have no crowns, you still get 0 points. And if you happen to have 3 crowns on one tile and nothing else next to it, you get 3 points. And so you kind of have to balance it. You create this kingdom. You don't necessarily have to build with your castle in the middle, but I always try to do so. And there are bonus variations that you get extra points if you do so. And like I said, my favorite way to play is when your normal way is 5x5, but my favorite way to play is when you go 7x7. It makes it a lot harder to build a perfect kingdom, but it is a lot of fun. I won't go too deep into this because, like I said, I have covered this game extensively on this channel. Go ahead and check out those videos. I would love if you would give those a couple of views. Let me know your thoughts on King Domino. Do you like King Domino more, or do you like Queen Domino more that has a little bit more going on in it? For me, and I'll just give you the quick rundown. The reason I like King Domino more is because this is the kind of game it's supposed to be. They made this more for the people who wanted to do more things, or the gamers King Domino. And I kind of dispute that. Because this is the game it was supposed to be. This is perfection, in my opinion, of the system. It didn't need Queen Domino. Now, don't get me wrong, Queen Domino is a good game too. And like I said, I like, when I need to, I like putting the two together and using all the tiles. But when I just want to play a quick, 20-minute game of King Domino, this is what I want to do. I don't necessarily want to have to do all the other things in Queen Domino. So in at number 18, that is from Blue Orange Games, King Domino. Number 17. Number 17 is a game that completely snuck up on me. And I didn't even know anything really about the game when I bought it. There was a campaign going on in the spring or early summer by board gamers to raise money for Black Lives Matters. And there was a bunch of amazing board game content creators who were organizing all of this, and publishers as well. And what they were doing was encouraging people to buy Rap Gods from Board Game Brothers. And I wanted to be supportive and, help out in any way that I could. So I also bought a copy of Rap Gods. I didn't really know anything about the game. I didn't know anything about the publishing company or the designer. And, so I bought the game. I ended up getting it to the table shortly after that once we received it. And I'm 100%, I don't listen to rap music. I don't really understand anything about that. And that's fine. I listen to rock music. But I know a lot of people love it. And I have nothing against it. It's just not my style. The great thing about this game is I didn't need to. And I had that concern. I was going to say, I was kind of going into it going, am I not going to get things? Or is it going to be not necessarily for me because I don't necessarily listen to rap music? And I found out very quickly, no, that's not the case. This is a great game, first off. And it is designed extremely well. There are very few games that I played with no information going into and was able to pick up the game and understand it extremely quickly. And even though it's not complicated, it's fun. And that is this game. So I have a huge respect for the designer of this game, Omari. He designed a wonderful game. The artwork is great too. It really just, how do I even put it? It makes you, like I said, I don't really know a lot about the culture as, but you can feel the passion. And when I did an unboxing of this, and I'll go ahead and put that up in the link as well. I did an unboxing of this, and when I unboxed it for the first time and I opened it up, I could see the passion of this game. And so I hope you check out that unboxing. There is just a lot of nice artwork, and it always flabbergasts me, or I love it so much. I need to show you. This is the first player token. This is one giant metal coin or medallion. It is super shiny. It is gigantic. Like, this is a card, like a standard American card. That's how big the coin is. And I just love that aspect. But you also, for your victory points, you have albums or plaques, and these are what those look like. And I just love collecting these. But the game is it's a set collection game. And you're playing cards and you're earning points on the board that looks like a record. And you're going around the record earning points in 3 different categories. And it's, like I said, it is a game about like rap culture. You're a up and coming rapper from a hometown, and then you have goals that you're trying to do, and it has all these different life things that you know, some are good and some are bad. You can get into beef with people and make them lose points, and you gain those points. It has, is, you know, at its core is you draw a card, you play a card. But it has such cool artwork. It has such a nice and neat design that a game that, again, the theme when I bought the game didn't really do anything for me because I don't really know anything about it, which is, again, what it is. But the game itself, the design of the board game is what drew me in after playing it. And I have put this at my number 17 because we enjoy playing it so much. And it's fairly quick. And if you've been following along, and you're going to see that as the rest of the way we go too, games that I can play quickly and still have a ton of fun playing, and those are the games that are really going to make impressions on me. If I can play a game 45 minutes to an hour, have a blast doing it, I'm more likely to play it again. If I play a game for 3 hours, I'm probably not going to want to play it in a while. And the games that I can play over and over and over and enjoy, those are the ones that are more likely going to come very high on my list. So that is why Rap Gods from Board Game Brothers comes in at number 17. Number 16. In at number 16 and rounding out today's list is a game that is actually a re-theme of another game. They came out around the same time, and they have both been made into trilogies. However, in my opinion, this one is the definitive edition, and that is Century Golem Edition. And I know there's a lot of people who like Century Spice Road. And at their core, they're the same game. But to me, one, I like the theme of this more. I like the artwork. I like the style. I like the theme of the golems more than just, generic trading in the Mediterranean. But the big thing for me is, instead of having little wooden cubes, you have these amazing gems. And so it has this really cool gem basket where you have 4 different colored gems. And these are what you are trading. And you're transmuting them from one color to the other, making them higher value. And what you're using those for is on these cards. So eventually you have to collect certain types of gems to buy these point cards. And that is how you get victory points. You do that by using these cards. You're going to start with 2 different cards. Or you're going to start with these type of cards. You're going to have cards that have coins on them, and then cards that have the ability to, or gems, I'm sorry. And then cards that have the ability to transmute those gems upward 1 level. But there's also going to be other cards that you can buy. And these cards have a bunch of different powers on them, where you can change blue cubes into pink cubes, which is a step up, or you can change a blue cube into 2 greens and a yellow, which is a step, steps down. And you just kind of have to balance which way you're going to go. But there's also ones that just give you like a blue and a yellow. And what you're doing is you're almost building a deck. So you are you're drafting these cards from the market and adding them to your hand. You can play each card from your hand as you go around taking actions. But once you've played a card, to play that card again, you have to draw all of your cards off of your table. That's your action to draw them. And then you can start playing those cards again. So if you get specific cards, and you can build it's almost like an engine builder as well, because you're building this deck, building this engine to play the cards, to transmute in the right ways, to acquire the right gems, and then turn them in for victory points. And now all these cards are different, so what you want may or may not be out there, but it has a very succinct style. And then of course it comes with cool little metal coins in 2 different colors, and these are extra points that you get depending on if you buy certain cards. And like I said, I just love the gems, like little wooden cubes or used in a ton of board games. And I get that, you know, some people like cubes, some people hate cubes. For me, cubes don't really do it. I like when you can have cool pieces. And the fact that the Gollum edition and the Spice Road edition, I believe, are the same cost. I don't remember the Gollum edition being more, but even if it was like $5 more, this is so much, this is worth it, in my opinion. We owned all 3 games of Century, the Spice Road edition, and its trilogy. I sold all 3 the minute I knew they were going to actually make a Gollum trilogy. I do have the second game in the Gollum trilogy. I do not currently have the 3rd game in the Gollum trilogy. I will definitely want to get it. I haven't gotten a chance to get my hands on it yet. But this is another game that I have done a ROC review on. You're going to start seeing that as we get down this list because I've been reviewing games that I really enjoy. And this is one of them. I will go ahead and put that above. But Century Gollum Edition does everything Century does. So if you like, Century Spice Road does. So if you like Spice Road, you will more than likely like Gollum. But like I said, in my opinion, it has better art and it has better components for the same price. And I had no need. I was just saying before how some games I don't consider game killers, but in this case, Century Gollum Edition killed Spice Road for me. I had no need to own it. I mean, because they're the same game. Now, on that term, some people also consider Century a Splendor killer. And you'll notice Splendor was not on the top 67 board games of all time. It is not going to be higher than Century. I do like Splendor. I think Splendor's a fine game. And I think Splendor and Century are different games. But if you put both games on the table and you said, ROC, pick a game, I'm going to pick this. Now, if you sat Century Gollum Edition and Marvel Splendor on the table at the same time, I might pick Marvel Splendor just because I haven't got a chance to play it yet. And I really want to play Marvel Splendor. But I also think that Splendor's price point is just a little high for what the game is. And I think you get more in this one. And I think it is I think it's a better system. And the reason I think the Century is a better system than Splendor is when you buy the cards in Splendor and you have the gems in front of you, you have the gem cards in front of you, those are counting as gems. Once you build up an engine to a certain point, you're just grabbing cards until the end of the game because you don't have to collect any more poker chips because you just have what you need. And you're just building more and more and more, and the rich get richer. While some of that can happen in Century, it doesn't happen as succinctly because you still have to get the cards and play the cards. And you're not just taking. You still have to turn your cards into gems, use those gems to buy the point cards and things like that. So there is more of a chance for the other players to start to catch up if somebody does build a really good engine because they have to keep putting those cards out and picking them up. Whereas in Splendor, once somebody gets the right combination of things, they never have to pick up another poker chip again. And then they start getting the nobles and they get the high point, gem cards. And so I think that's something that Century just does a little bit better than Splendor. But yeah, like I said, go ahead and check my review out for this game. That came out a while back. Like I will put that above my head during this video. And I would say if you like Splendor, if you like Century Spice Road, go ahead and check out Century Gollum Edition from Plan B Games. In at number 16. Now I'm going to go ahead and give you the quick recap for numbers 20 through 16. In at 20 was Space Base from AEG. 19, Civilization, A New Dawn, Fantasy Flight Games. 18, King Domino, Blue Orange Games. 17, Rap Gods from Board Game Brothers. And 16, Century Golem Edition from Plan B Games. Thank you all so much for checking out another installment of the top 67 board games of all time. Next week, we are in the top 15. Monday will be 15 through 11. Wednesday will be 10 through 6. And next Friday, 1 week from today, will be 5 through number 1. So I hope you'll stick around for all of that. Tuesdays, we'll have a rock review. Thursday, we will have an unboxing. Saturdays, we will have games with Remy. Still figuring out what we're going to do for those. But thank you guys so much for watching all of my ROCtober content. I hope you're enjoying. I know you're leaving those comments to get entered into Board Game Trick or Treat at the end of the month on ROCtober 31st, Halloween. And I also appreciate you stopping by over on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/rollingwithroc, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to this YouTube channel. It helps me a lot with growth. Also, go ahead and share this content with your friends who enjoy board games. Every new person we can get eyes on the channel really, really helps, and I appreciate everybody's support throughout this whole month. So thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there. We will see you tomorrow for some board games with Roc and Remy. Until then, this was AJ from Rolling with Roc, and you are watching ROCtober.